At this time, I would like to call the October 26th continuation of a public hearing of the proposed zoning ordinance amendment number 2330 to order. And this time I request that Assistant Secretary Myers call the roll.
Mr. Fuentes?
Here.
Mrs. Funk? Here. Mrs. Greenholt?
Here.
Mr. Greenholt?
Here.
Mr. Hegbert?
Here.
Mr. Kress?
Here.
Mr. Lockhart?
I think he's online.
Thank you. Mr. Reichart?
Here.
Mr. Rowland?
Here.
Dr. Rupp?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight is the time set for Hanover Borough Council to hold the continued public hearing to obtain further comment from the public and to discuss the text and map of the proposed new zoning ordinance amendment of the Borough of Hanover proposed ordinance number 2330. At this point, it is my pleasure to turn the meeting over to Solicitor Schultes so as to moderate tonight's public hearing.
Thank you. In addition to council members and staff participation, we will provide an opportunity for verbal comment following any further presentation by the Department of Engineering. As was presented and discussed at the last hearing on September 28, the proposed ordinance, Ordinance 2330, contains a number of revisions to the borough's zoning ordinance, including changes to the official zoning map, changing the zoning districts of a number of properties. Exhibit A to the proposed ordinance is the proposed revised official map of the borough, as well as a listing of all of the properties affected by the zoning map change. In the course of the public notice process, it was determined that there was an error in the listing of the properties contained in Exhibit A. 7 properties were misidentified in terms of the proposed new zoning district, which was changing from M to R5, and 15 properties were listed within Exhibit A as changing zoning districts, when in fact they are not changing zoning districts. At the hearing on September 28, Council reviewed the revision to Exhibit A correcting the error and approved the revision at its public meeting following the hearing. Importantly, no new properties were added to the list of properties. Because the borough substantially revised the proposed zoning ordinance amendment, and specifically the list of properties in Exhibit A, the borough continued the public hearing until tonight. Since our last hearing, we did receive correspondence dated October 19, 2022 from the York County Planning Commission, which recommended approval of the borough's proposed zoning ordinance amendment. On October 9 and October 16, the legal notice of tonight's hearing and the intention to adopt were republished in the Hanover Evening Sun, together with a brief summary setting forth all the provisions in reasonable detail, together with a summary of the revisions. On October 7, 2022, written notice listing the location, date, time of this continued hearing were mailed by first-class mail to all of the properties located within the area being rezoned as listed in Exhibit A, and to the addresses to which tax bills are sent as evidenced by the tax records within the possession of the borough. So at this point, I will turn it back over to President Ricart.
I believe connecting with us online this evening, we have Director of Planning and Engineering, Maines. Mr. Maines, what say you?
The only updates I have are certainly to echo what your solicitor mentioned, which was that indeed we do now have YCPC's recommendation for approval of the ordinance that is in front of you, and that my office did assist Solicitor Schultes with the mailings and other postings as required.
Thank you. At this time, those of you following along, I'm going to open it up for council questions. I would assume they're specifically for either Solicitor Schultes or Director of Planning and Engineering, Maines. So while we have them, Councilor Rowland, any questions?
No.
Councilor Kress?
No.
Councilor Fuentes?
No, sir.
Councilor Rupp?
No.
Mayor Whitman?
No.
I have none. Counselor Funk?
No, I do not.
No.
No questions? So, no. Counselor Greenholdt, no questions. Okay, we will close the question period for council and open it up to the public, starting with those within the room. Are there any specific questions? If there are, we have a place reserved for the questions at the front table, speaking into the microphone. Your name and address first, please, for the record.
My name is Doris Peterman, lived on Primrose Lane, 189 Primrose Lane, for 25 years.
Thank you.
What I'd like to mention here tonight is I feel that the borough is going in a very, very, very wrong way. Besides, there's too much building and development going on without really taking the time and maybe having DEP come in and look at the land to see if the land should be put into a big development or something else where there's wetlands. It just seems like the community is just wanting to move so fast, and then you know what's going to happen? 10 years down the road, we're going to have problems. Because we've been on Primrose Lane 25 years. When we moved there, that creek in back of our land was no more than a 2-foot wide creek. Now, you're talking probably 6 to 8 feet. And it's all because of all the water that's coming down. The borough has the water directed all the way from the hospital, all the way down in through that creek area. And then there's other streets too, but it's all coming down our way. But yet, when it comes time that they want to put in a new house or a business, they're not taking any time to really look at the land and getting the proper people in there to say, yes, it's okay for building. I think if everything would be approved, sent, all the building plans should be sent to DEP. Let them come. Let them give their approval. And then we would know whether or not we're going to have a water problem. Because the water problem that we've been having is not the homeowner's problem. Everyone that lives along that creek area, it's not our problem. It's the borough's problem. A month ago, I sent Eric Maines, I sent him an email. So a week later, he replies back with a lot of more garbage. That guy has no idea what he's doing. He really doesn't. He's causing all this building to go on, but yet he has no idea what the land looks like. And that's why I'm saying things are moving too fast, and I just think that you need to get DEP to get approval. I mean, have you gotten into the car lately and went out to that development there on Ridge Avenue and looked at how those houses are crammed in there? Where's all that water gonna go? And then there's other developers. There they are, they're jumping on the bandwagon. So it almost tells me that the engineer here at the borough is pushing things through too fast. And I think things need to be slowed down, they need to be taken a look at, and have DEP come in and do their approval. Thank you.
Anyone else within the room before I open it up to the electronic attendees? Seeing none, with community media's able assistance, could we open it up electronically?
If you're joining us online, you're able to unmute yourself if you'd like to address council.
No one? Seeing none, we will close the, all of the public comment portion of the meeting.
Bill, can I ask one question of Mrs. Peterman? When you have flooding in your area, Mrs. Peterman, and I was there, okay, I did see the flooding. How bad is it? Is it getting worse, or is it I mean, can you give
It
me a
can be
little?
4 to 5 feet high. It comes down and it comes all over.
Okay,
And the rocks and everything that have been put down there since we moved there in 97, the ground is all, it just keeps washing out, and it keeps getting wider and wider.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, we have concluded the public comment and the council question period. I will ask Solicitor Schultes to identify any written comments that had been previously submitted for the record before we conclude the hearing.
At the last hearing, we had one written public comment. I'm not aware that there has been any other, but I will confirm with Mr. Maines.
There has been no other written comments received.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, the chair respects a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? Motion carries. We are adjourned.